All right. Welcome to the Beyond the Lines podcast. This is episode 0 of the podcast, and we're going to make an introduction to what this podcast is all about. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Clayton Edelman.
Hello. Thank you.
So good to see you, Clayton.
It's great to be here.
And also, we have Cal Jernigan on the podcast. Man, he is the lead pastor of Central Christian Church in Arizona. He's an incredible leader, and he has gained an incredible array of knowledge and wisdom when it comes to walking beyond the line. Welcome, Cal.
Thank you. Hey, first off, it's great to be with you guys. I'm excited to do this, and I think this will be really good to kind of enhance what we're trying to do and help people to understand. So what do you want me to do here?
Yeah, let's jump right in. I love that. What is Beyond the Lines? What lines are we talking about?
Okay. All right. So here's the deal. Those of us who follow Christ, basically say, yeah, we'll go wherever you ask us to go. We'll do what you ask us to do. But unfortunately, so many of us, we put a limit on it. And as long as it sounds reasonable, as long as it sounds doable, as long as it doesn't make me afraid, I'll go that far. But we put hard stops. We go, I'll do this, and I'll get a little uncomfortable, and it'll get a little uneasy, but that's as far as I'm going to go. And then once I hit that, I feel like I've done what I've committed to do. Beyond the Lines is just a concept that says that obedience to Christ is without limit. It doesn't have until I'm uncomfortable. So I'll obey until I'm uncomfortable. I'll love until I'm uncomfortable. I'll commit until I'm uncomfortable. So it's just a commitment to go that wherever I want to stop, I won't stop. God doesn't stop there. I won't stop there. And the example of Jesus is to go to the extreme. And so many of us in our Christian walk, we just want to quit before we've really put much into it. That's the concept of Beyond the Lines.
Wow. What about for people who maybe aren't following Christ, but what value is this podcast to them? Maybe they're not sure about Christ. Maybe they never heard about him. Yep. Or know much about it. What value is walking beyond the line to them?
Well, and again, when we say beyond the lines, we're talking about loving beyond. Mm-hmm. That's the concept, loving beyond. And Jesus, was very, very clear in John 13, 34 and 35, which, one of the biographers of Jesus was the Apostle John. And Jesus just basically said, look, there's going to be a way that you can live that would demonstrate to people that you're actually in my camp, you're in my entourage, you're one of my disciples, and that thing that he said would be that you actually love people. I think the tragedy of the Christian church in America, the church in America today is we've gotten a really bad reputation for being hypocritical, that we've gotten a really bad reputation for being judgmental and condescending. And I believe we've got all of that simply because we've not done what Jesus said. If you would love people the way I've loved you, if you would lay down your life for people the way I've laid down my life for you, then they would understand that this is for real. Tragically, what I think we've done is we've convinced people that this isn't for real because we don't take it seriously, because we put the hard stop. To love that person would be difficult. To love them would be, make me incredibly uneasy. And so I'm not going to do it. So they never see it. And we as a church need to quit letting ourselves off the hook so easily and excusing our bad behavior as it was just, that's reasonable. That was, I did enough. And I just think people are looking for a Jesus that's real, and people are looking for Christians that are real, and people are looking for a church that's real. And that's the idea. Love beyond the lines. Don't put a fence around your love and go, that's as far as it's going to go.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. You've had quite a personal journey, I think, with learning what it means to walk beyond your own lines. And I think we all have lines that we've put in our lives, every one of us. And sometimes we're blind to them. Can you tell us a little summary of how you got here?
Yeah. Well, I would say this, in every one of our lives, your guys' lives, whoever's listening to this, you only learn something when you go beyond what you already know. I mean, this is so obvious, but we don't think about this. Confirmation bias is all about, I only want to hear the viewpoints of people who agree with me. And so we get in echo chambers, and we live in a world that we're surrounded by people who all confirm what we already confirm, who believe what we already believe. I think growth happens when you're willing to step out of that and go, okay, I'm going to read this author. I'm going to listen to this podcast. I'm going to hear this message. I'm going to watch this TED Talk. I'm going to put whatever you want to put there. when you're willing to wrestle with ideas that you're not comfortable with, that you're not familiar with, that is on that edge. That's where growth happens. Again, hard stop. I want to just stay with people who believe what I believe and think the way I think. I think it's a tragedy how comfortable, in a church we can be with what we'll refer to as a holy huddle. Just kind of these are the people who get it. We forget this was not the purpose. It was to help people to understand what they don't understand. So in my life, here's the story, is for whatever reason, God's just given me an ability or a willingness or something that I want to know what I don't know. I want to wrestle with what I've never heard. I want to read what I've never read. I want to meet people who are different than me. I want to put myself in places where I'm uncomfortable, where I feel like I don't belong, for the sake of what's happening here. What do these people know? What are these people about? And I really believe that we become too afraid to cross that line. And I think God's going, get out there, go experience the world the way it is. And I'm not talking about sin. I'm just saying, get out and go listen to somebody, hear from them, their point of view. And my experience in my life has been, that's been one of the best things for me to grow. So that's where that comes from.
That's really good. I mean, it's really true that birds of a feather flock together. I think that's like one of the few real idioms that we say. It actually is true. We like to flock together with people who are just like us. And that could be a whole variety of ways. Like, I remember a story recently of a friend of mine who studied abroad in Japan, and she spent time there, and she found that all the other like English speaking students who were studying abroad there, they flocked together, and she didn't want to do that. She wanted to learn Japanese. And so she hung out with the Japanese students, and she actually got ridiculed by the English students for doing that because they were hanging together. And she said, I learned, like, she was fluent in Japanese by the end of it. While she said half of the people who were flocking together, they didn't know the language.
Right. Well, and that is a great illustration, because we justify our kind of isolation with one another. Like, this is the smart thing to do. And again, it's comfortable. It's safe. It brings you a sense of security. It just doesn't teach you much, because people who are exactly like you have nothing really to show you. But when you're willing to take the risk, and honestly, I think those of us who walk with Christ, we started in this journey because we were willing to take a risk, and the risk was to go against the crowd, because most of us came from friendships that were, kind of out there, and we go, you know what, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to follow Jesus, and that meant there was a price you're going to pay. But then what happens is then we become that holy huddle, and that's our group, and we only hang out with the people. Now, again, don't misunderstand. It's really important that people who are like faith gather together. We do that. We call that worship. As we lift up God, we come together and we focus on who He is. But I don't think that we were meant to live our lives with walls all around us and keeping people out. So beyond the lines is just this commitment. I'm gonna love. I'm gonna love liberally. Now, I'm not going to believe everything I'm told. I'm not going to align myself with everyone who I hang out with. I'm not going to pick up everything that they're about. But I'm going to expose myself, and I'm going to get a chance to learn. And I wish we would be less fearful of people who have different ideas. Clayton, you're talking way too much here.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's all good. And I think it's not something that happens overnight. Maybe it does for some people, but I'm excited for just this podcast where we get to talk about your journey and how you've kind of come to the realizations that you've come to. I'm just super excited to hear your viewpoint on it.
Well, let me, if I can, let me take a moment and just share, like you said, like what kind of experiences. Let me share with you one real life experience that's really shaped my life. Yeah. So as pastor of this church, I had for a number of years taken people over to Israel, and we would go over to Israel, and we'd have an Israeli tour guide, and they would. And I have to say this in a way, I understand the situation far better now than I did then. So I have to say this in the way I did it, that I did understand then, which, this is a dangerous place, and there's dangerous, people here. We call them Palestinians, and we've built this wall to keep us safe from these people, and we're gonna keep you in the safe places, and we're gonna, inform you of that. And I didn't know any different. And so several years, numerous years, I'd take people over, and we would only stay in the safe places. And I thought that was the wisest, smartest thing to do. Well, then what happened was one day I was with some friends. We were over in Amman, Jordan, And we had some extra time, and one of these guys that I was with said, well, let's go hang out in Bethlehem. And I kind of locked up, and I said, Bethlehem, that's in the bad zone. I go, what are you talking about? I go, that's in the West Bank. That's in the other. Those are those guys. And every time I had been to Bethlehem before, it had been a quick get in, get out. Kind of hold onto the rope, watch your wallet, watch the back of the person in front of you. If anyone goes down, we carry them out, kind of a no man left behind deal. It was scary.
Yeah.
And for my friends to suggest to me that we just go hang out in Bethlehem seemed like what is wrong with you? And I explained that to them. I said, have you never been there? And they said, of course we've been there. I go, it's dangerous. And they said, who told you that? And I basically said, everybody knows that. And he goes, have you ever hung out there? And I had to admit I hadn't, because I had drawn a line, and the line was the wall, and you don't cross that. Long story short, we hung out for 4 days in Bethlehem, met an incredible group of people, came to understand the conflict in Israel from a whole different lens. And again, it's a conflicted land. The Palestinians and the Israelis are forced to live together for lots of political reasons. They're not good guys and bad guys. It's the fear that keeps you on one side of a wall and says, I will not, that tells you, I will not cross over. I suggest you go discover who's on the other side of the wall, and your life will be richer. My life has been much richer since I've made friends on both sides of the wall. Perfect illustration of what go beyond the line means.
Yeah. No, and I think that's beautiful. I mean, you mentioned there's not bad guys, there's not good guys. And when I just hear that, I just hear there's guys on both sides, there's human beings on both sides.
There are good guys on both sides, and there's bad guys on both sides.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Yep.
And I've met them both on both sides, because that's the way life is. And in America, we got good guys and bad guys. And guess what? And in the church, we have good guys and bad guys.
Yeah.
We love to believe that everyone's that everyone's safe, and it's not the way it is. It just doesn't work like that. So we need to be a little bit more adventurous, and I think we discover a much better life if we didn't live such hunkered down lives in fear beyond the lines.
Wow. Well, I'm going to cut us off here. I don't want to give up too much of our content for later. So thank you guys so much for joining us for the Beyond the Lines podcast, our first episode, which is episode 0. We can't wait to record many more of these podcasts and have you join us as we continue to discover what it means to walk beyond the lines we've drawn in our lives. Until then, let's all continue to learn how to walk beyond those lines. We'll see you next time.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.